This is a KOMU 8 News special report. Smart Decision election coverage.
New results coming in since our 9 o'clock newscast. It's a busy election night for sure. Welcome to your 2020 Smart Decision coverage. I'm Emily Spain. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let's get right to it tonight. While the numbers are still rolling in this evening, within just the last 15 minutes, the Associated Press just called incumbent Mike Parson as the winner of the race for governor. This is the most highly watched race in the state, and Nicole Galloway, she fought hard to take over the state's top job, and we are watching these parties here from Springfield and in Columbia. Let's go right over to KOMU 8's Annabelle Thorpe at the Governor's Watch Party in Springfield. Annabelle.
Emily, the room here is at a boiling point. Governor Parson is expected to walk out any moment soon with the news that he just won the governor's race. As you can see behind me, this crowd has their signs up. They're all packed to the front, waiting to cheer on the governor. They've been supporting this entire time. Now, this room, as you see, there are a lot of people standing. That's because we are at capacity right now. We're actually at a 1-in, 1-out rule. There are people waiting on the outside of this room, waiting to come in, and that wait line has been there the entire night. We've seen other familiar faces, though, throughout the night here. Speaker of the House, Elijah Haahr, we saw him speaking earlier, and we've been waiting all night for Governor Parson to take that stage. We were told earlier he wouldn't take it until the race has been called. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is why we are waiting for him to take that stage pretty soon here. Now, the excitement has been more than just about Governor Parson. It's also been about Republican races that are not just in Missouri, from around the nation. As those results have been coming in, people have been cheering, erupting into cheers for those moments as well. Earlier, I spoke to Governor Parson's campaign manager about what to expect. Governor Parson's heading right out. We're going to toss it over to him.
Man. How about Made in America? I love that song. I tell you what a great night. What a great night for the state of Missouri. And thank you, the people of Missouri, for what you've done for me and the First Lady. You mean so much to me while I go to work every day. There's so many people I want to thank and so many things I want to say tonight, but it's late. I know we're all celebrating a big victory tonight, but let me first just say this. This would have never happened if somebody hadn't been for my side for 35 years. The ups and downs that we've had in our lives, the things I put the First Lady through as sheriff, as a family guy, as a farmer, as a business guy. But I'm going to tell you what. There is no First Lady, and there's been a lot of them, but I'm biased, totally. But I'm going to tell you, she is one class act that represents you every day. Okay. And the other people I have to thank is my family. My kids are behind me here tonight. Part of them are here, part of the grandkids are not. But I'm going to tell you what, my family has endured a lot for me to be able to do the things I do. Being governor of the state of Missouri is not easy. When you got a family, when you got your sons and your daughters, and son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws and grandkids, I miss them. I truly do every day. But I tell you what, they have stuck with me thick and thin. And several of them are not here tonight. I want to give them a shout out real quick. I got two of my granddaughters. They're at College of the Ozarks. They're listening live tonight. So I'm so proud of them. And I have a grandson that is actually going to a law enforcement academy right now, so we're going to shout to him. And needless to say, Izzy and Ben's here with me tonight. Two of the older grandchildren now that's with me tonight, Stephanie and her husband, Jonathan, and Kelly. And his wife had to take little Sophie home, which has been such a blessing in our family. Kelly and Tara adopted her a little over a year ago, and I'm telling you, that's been the biggest blessing we've had in our family, to be able to adopt her. So she's home sleeping. She's smarter than the rest of us here tonight, I can tell you that for sure, but I thank them. I tell you the other thing, Steel Shippey, his team, Team 57, what he's been through trying to keep me on course in the campaign and trying to be on the official side of being governor has been a balancing act. But I'm telling you what, they put one of the best campaigns together, and you see what happened, what their work did, how we won this election tonight. And the other people I want to give a shout out to are people that's been with me since I became governor. Aaron Willard, and I don't even know where Aaron's at. He's in the back somewhere, I guarantee you, out of sight. But I will tell you this much. The staff that worked in the governor's office the last 2.5 years, people in the state of Missouri, you couldn't have been represented by any more people. We've been through droughts, we've been through floods, we've been through tornadoes, we've been through pandemics. Every day they have kept that boat above water, and they are true leaders that made me a better governor because I got to work with them. And finally, the people I want to thank also is the great people of this state for having the trust and confidence in me to be the governor of their state of Missouri. I appreciate them so much for who they are. This election, and I've said it on the trail a lot, this election was about preserving freedom, capitalism, and the rule of law is what this election was all about. And however, there is more work to be done, and that work starts tomorrow as the next term for governor. So many people across the state of Missouri has helped me and Teresa to get to this podium today in front of you. But I do want to go back to those beginnings that I've talked about so many times about my mom and dad. My two older brothers are here tonight. One of my brothers has passed away. But I tell you how important the work ethic is and why I always feel like nobody will outwork me. You know, 8 days, 40 stops in 8 days. Any young gun that wants to hang around with me, come on. Come on is all I got to say. I'll put you to work on that. But I'll tell you, that work ethic I learned on the farm from my mom and dad. How to be a good neighbor. How to respect all people, no matter where they live, no matter where they was from, no matter what the color of their skin was. You respected people. And they taught me the importance of sitting in a church pew. I've took those values all the way through my life to be able to be the governor of the state of Missouri. I still use those values every day because I'll tell you what I think Missouri is built on. I do believe we are built on Christian principles in the state of Missouri. And I believe people believe in common sense. And I think they want leaders that believe in common sense. They don't want government to tell them what they want to do every day. They want to live their lives in peace. And as long as I'm governor, we're going to do those things. Now, for months, you've heard me say, it is our time. That's what I've said. This is our time. And I've said that time and time again across the state on every stop I've made for the last year because I believe it's me and you. I don't believe it's about me as governor. I believe it's about all of us to be together. I believe it is our time to protect the Constitution. I believe it is our time to preserve the American dream. And I believe it is our time to preserve freedoms for the next generation. And it is our time to be governor for 4 more years. Thank you all very much.
Governor Mike
God
Parson
bless
there
you.
wrapping his victory speech in Springfield as Nicole Galloway takes the podium in Columbia, the Tiger Hotel. Let's listen into her now.
But I respect the service he has provided Missourians throughout his career. He is a dedicated husband, father, and grandfather who has spent his life working for the people of our state. There are so many people to thank tonight. First, my husband, John, my sons, William, Joseph, and Benjamin. Thank you. You bring so much joy and purpose to my life, and I love you with all my heart. To my mom and dad, thank you. Growing up in Fenton, you taught me the value of a dollar, the value of hard work, the value of family, the value of empathy. Your lessons over the years shaped my outlook on service and helped me understand right from wrong. Thank you to my sister Megan, my best friend, my brother Matthew for always being there for me, my in-laws, my entire supportive family. I am blessed and lucky to have you. To Chris Sloan and my campaign staff, you are incredible. I am humbled by the countless hours you put in, often operating on just a few hours sleep, and motivated by the simple belief that Missourians deserve a new way in Jefferson City. This campaign would not have been possible without each and every one of you. Yes. To my brothers and sisters in labor, who were the beating heart of this campaign, I will never forget the support that you have given me, and I will never stop fighting for you. Thank you to the organizers and volunteers, people of all ages, from every corner of Missouri, who reached out to voters, texted and phone bank. You fought for the change we desperately need. To all the young women across Missouri who I met on the campaign trail, I want you to know there's nothing you can't do. Tonight, I may have come up short, but over the past 15 months, I have met so many young women who I know will be future governors of Missouri. Finally, I want to thank the people of Missouri. Listening to your stories, your hopes, your dreams motivated me to get into this race. It was a privilege meeting so many families over the course of this campaign. Contrary to what people may see in our politics right now, campaigns are about hope and optimism, not fear. My goal was to run a campaign that would make you proud. To run a campaign that was accessible and responsive, a campaign that you could see yourself in. And I believe that we did just that. It was a privilege meeting so many of you over the course of this campaign. From the barber in Kansas City, the women in St. Louis who turned a big idea into a small business, to the little girl in Maryville who told me she'd be president one day. I will carry your stories with me, and I will keep fighting for you. Over this course of this campaign, we built a coalition of Missourians who were united around a few simple values. That we can no longer ignore science and the growing threat of COVID-19. That no one should be denied access to health care amidst a deadly pandemic. And that our children deserve to live in a Missouri that is fair and accountable to all of its citizens. It's time that Jefferson City reflect these convictions and policy. This isn't a Democratic agenda or a Republican agenda, but one that puts the needs of Missouri families front and center. We all must come together to defeat the virus, to ensure that Missouri expands Medicaid and build a state where every child can succeed. While this campaign is over, our work continues. We must continue to organize, advocate, and fight to ensure that our leaders put the needs of working families first and act with urgency to address the profound challenges this state faces. For the past 5 years, I have been proud to serve as your independent watchdog in Jefferson City. As state auditor, I have uncovered millions in waste, fraud, and abuse, and taken on corruption at every level. It has been an honor of my life, and you can bet I'll keep demanding accountability and transparency from politicians in Jefferson City for years to come. I'm not going anywhere, Missouri. Thank you, and good night.
You just heard from Nicole Galloway as she gave her concession speech. Governor Mike Parson is been called by the Associated Press as the winner of the gubernatorial race. Also within the last half hour, the Associated Press called the Show Me State for President Trump that gives him Missouri's 10 electoral votes. The president also won Missouri back in 2016 by 18 percentage points. And we'll be right back after this with more Smart Decision 2020. Well, as the results continue to come in, we want to remind you that you can find the returns at the bottom of your screen and online on our website, KOMU.com. Our coverage started early this morning when the polls opened. There were lines at polling places across mid-Missouri as the morning voting rush got underway. The polls have been closed now for more than 3 hours, but our teams are still out in the field at polling locations and standing by as the votes are counted. KOMU 8's Marissa Rios is live at the Boone County Clerk's office with the latest on the counting efforts and the drastic spike in early voting. Marissa.
Emily, the final precinct reported those votes here at about 9:25. Now, the county's website is only showing about 21%, but again, that will update throughout the night. Take a look right behind me. The election team is actively working to make sure all those votes get in on the website, and the votes came in on small USB drives, which are then imported into the computer, and those votes will be calculated and tabulated. It shows about 70% of eligible voters came out, 80% of active voters voted in Boone County. Now remember, election teams started up at 6:15 this morning. This afternoon. Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon said they also made several trips to the post office today, making sure they got all of those mail-in ballots turned in before 7 p.m. So now that all those precincts have been brought back here to the clerk's office, the building is finally locked down. Remember, all unofficial results will be posted to the clerk's website tonight, but the official results will not be on for about 2 more weeks. Reporting live in Columbia, I'm Marissa Rios, KOMU 8 News.
Well, one of the other major issues we're following tonight, Amendment 3. It's the ballot initiative which would reform voter-approved Clean Missouri, with 46% of precincts reporting the yeses have it right now with 54% of the vote. No is at 46% of the vote. Missouri voters had a lot to say on this amendment during the election season. KOMU 8's Alyssa Jackson joins us now in the studio with a breakdown of Amendment 3. And Alyssa, what makes it so controversial?
Yes, Emily, Amendment 3 has 3 parts. It would limit lobbyist gifts, lower campaign contributions, and change who can redistrict the state. But that last part is the most controversial. This amendment would essentially undo Clean Missouri, which voters passed as Amendment 1 in 2018. Except this would allow the winner of the governor's race to choose who can redistrict the state. Supporters who call the amendment Fair Missouri told KOMU they're confident voters will decide to pass Amendment 3 tonight. The No on 3 campaign will hold a press conference if results are in tonight, and will continue to share more reactions with you on KOMU.com and some more tomorrow morning on KOMU 8 News Today. In the studio, Alyssa Jackson, KOMU 8 News.
We're following a number of other races tonight. Let's go down to some of the results for State Senate in District 19. Let's take a look at those results now with 75% of precincts reporting. Judy Baker currently in the lead with 51%. She's a Democratic challenger facing incumbent Republican Caleb Rowden, who currently has 49% of the vote. In the race for Missouri's 4th congressional district with 80% of precincts reporting, incumbent Vicky Hartzler has 67% of the vote. The Republican candidate and the Democrat challenger Lindsey Simmons has 31% of the vote. Back here in Boone County, the race for Southern District 1 Commissioner. If we can move now to the next graphic here, Justin Aldred currently in the lead with 55% of the vote. Fred Perry coming in at 45%. He's the incumbent candidate with 68% of precincts reporting. And in the race for Boone County District 2 Commissioner, the Northern District with 68% of precincts reporting again. Current Commissioner Janet M. Thompson with 59% of the vote. Challenger Tristan Asbury has 41% of the vote. Kenton.
All right, Emily, well, quickly here when we get into our forecast, we are, of course, well above average in our temperatures. We're talking about temperatures on average for the next 5 days around 59 when you look at a 30-year average. We're going to be in the 70s. I'm talking about lower to middle 70s through the weekend, even into early next week. Low temperatures are also over 10 degrees above average, especially once we get into Sunday morning potentially, where a low temperature could be within 3 degrees of the average high temperature for this time of year. Now, if you like the warm weather, it's certainly kind of a windows down week for us with a lot of sunshine too. Enjoy this week because there is a pattern change that's on the way. This is a look at next week, the 9th through the 13th, next Monday through Friday. I'm showing you an early look at that over to our east. It looks very warm. For us, we're pretty seasonal, which means, again, those high temperatures in the 50s. And then to our west, it looks very cold. So certainly a bit of a battle of the weather also throughout the United States next week. Then we have a lot of rain chance as well. And that best rain chance is actually going to be early next week. So let's go ahead and look at our overnight low temperature tonight. It's going to be cooling down to just around 48 degrees. Tomorrow morning will be 10 degrees warmer than it was this morning. We're again starting that warming trend. We're around 75 tomorrow, and again, we're going to stay in those 70s the rest of the week. The difference for tomorrow is it will be a bit breezy. Winds will be gusting about 25 miles per hour. We're at 72 then on Thursday, 74 on Friday. Lows are going to be in the 50s for the most part. And you can look also this weekend. It's going to be warm, but it will also be windy as well. Gust back to 25 to 35 miles per hour. And then you can see that pattern change. Look at the end of that 8-day forecast. Tuesday, Wednesday, we're back down into those 50s. And we have chances for rain, especially by the end of Monday into early Tuesday. We'll keep you updated on all of this here on KUMU8. Emily.
Okay, thanks, Kenton. Coming up in your local news, an update on a homicide in Columbia's Cosmo Park. We'll be right back. As our Smart Decision 2020 coverage continues tonight, we want to remind you we are keeping an eye on NBC's coverage, and we'll bring that back to you if necessary this evening. Moving on this evening, some statewide races haven't gotten as much attention this election season. We have more results to share with you. In the race for Missouri's lieutenant governor, here's a look at those numbers. With 54% of precincts reporting Mike Kehoe in the lead here with 63% of the vote. Alicia Kennedy has 35% of the vote. On to the race for Missouri's Secretary of State now with 53% of the vote. Jay Ashcroft has 64% in the lead there with Yinka Falati at 32% of the vote. For state treasurer, here's a look at those numbers. 53% of the precincts reporting, 63% of the vote going right now to Scott Fitzpatrick, and Vicki Ungland has 34% of the vote. And in the race for state attorney general with 53% of the precincts reporting, Eric Schmidt in the lead here with 63% of the vote. Rich Finneran has 34%. We are following other news today as well. We have this update for you on the homicide in Columbia's Cosmo Park from last night. Police say officers detained one teenager. In a news release, Columbia police say the 15-year-old is being held on charges of second-degree murder and armed criminal action, along with delivery and possession of a controlled substance. The department has not released his name. Police responded to the scene around 6 p.m. yesterday. 19-year-old Jermaine Spain was found dead when police arrived, and another gunshot victim was taken to the hospital. Here's an update now on your COVID-19 cases in the state. Missouri is adding nearly 5,000 cases to its total today, which is now more than 190,000 since the pandemic began. The current CDC method of positivity rate shows Missouri at 14.2%. Remember, the CDC recommends that number be 5% or below. In Boone County, they reported one new death today, bringing that total since the pandemic began to 17. There are also 82 new cases to tell you about, with 516 active cases. 105 people are in the hospital with COVID. 20 of them are Boone County residents. St. Louis voters who tested positive for COVID-19 still had the opportunity to vote today. Voters who tested positive for the virus but didn't vote by mail could cast their ballots at a drive-in voting site near the city's election board headquarters. Election workers interacting with the voters were wearing all of that protective gear. And we'll be right back with more results from your election night here on KOMU 8. Welcome back. We again want to remind you we continue to follow NBC's coverage. We'll bring it to you as necessary. And again, after our 10 o'clock newscast, we will rejoin NBC's special report on tonight's election. Back here in Missouri, in the race for Missouri's 3rd congressional district, here's a look at the numbers so far. With 96% reporting, Blaine Luke DeMeyer has it at 72%. Megan Rezebeck coming in at 26%. This is now Luke DeMeyer's 7th term. He's been in office since 2008. We spoke to him earlier today, and he says he's thankful his constituents voted for him again.
Say thank you, number one, for the trust that you have given me with your vote to be able to continue to represent your ideas, your values, your hopes and dreams for the future. This is about being able to help people live the American dream.
Moving on to our next race for Missouri State Senate District 21 with 84% of the votes. Denny Hoskins has 80%. The Republican incumbent Libertarian candidate Mark Bliss at 20%. In the race for Missouri House District 44 with 73% reporting, Cherie Tolshin Rice has 52% of the vote. Jackie Sample coming in with 48% of the vote. On to the race now for Missouri House District 47 with 92% reporting. Chuck Basie has 54% of the vote. Adrian Plank coming in at 46% of the vote. And we'll be right back with a final wrap of our Smart Decision coverage. Stick with us. Welcome back. We will have a recap of tonight's big results on KOMU 8 News tomorrow morning. Plus, you can find all of our coverage online right now on KOMU.com. Kenton.
And we have a lot of windows down days coming up with a lot of sunshine, too. We do have a little bit of cloud cover tomorrow, and it'll be a bit breezy. Then on Thursday and Friday, a bit calmer, and the high temperature still in the 70s. Then on Saturday and Sunday this weekend, we're still in the 70s, but we have wind coming back into play on Monday and Tuesday. They're going to be a transition time period because we're going to start off the week very warm, but then some showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two. We'll move through with a cold front, and that's really going to cool us down for the rest of next week.
And of course, you know, the big races that we've been following here locally, the race for governor, the Associated Press called that really right before the 10 o'clock newscast with Governor Mike Parson winning that race. We heard both from Parson and Galloway. Again, we'll have recaps of what both of them had to say coming up tomorrow on KOMU 8 News Today.
Have a good night.
On air, online, on Facebook and Twitter, on the News app, on the Weather app, and now on Roku. KOMU 8 News. Coverage you can count on.